Magic, in the last episode, we talked about the type of inputs data science or machine learning needs in particular to be successful. So let's say that a data science team has accomplished this. What are the types of outcomes that a business leader can expect?
So there are two major outputs from data science projects. It's insights and models. And insights can be extremely valuable because they build more understanding and more knowledge about what's working, what's not working, what correlates with our KPIs and so on. But they are also very intangible. So what's insight for you may not be insightful for someone else. So today I think we should focus on the other type of outputs, which is models.
Okay.
And there seem to be a great deal of misplaced expectations with regards to the model outputs, because business leaders expect something rather clear-cut that would help them make the best decision. And what they are getting is very far from it. While data scientists think exactly that they delivered very clear output that will help a business leader to optimize their decisions.
So data scientists have done their jobs when they hand the outputs over to the business leaders.
Yeah, they think their job is over.
Okay.
That these are the outputs that were expected, while it's not true.
All right. Well, I think it would help if you walked me through an actual example of this.
Okay, so as you remember, in the previous episode, one of the tables we looked at was a collection of patients from early COVID time.
Yes.
And we had features for those patients. So in this case, it was demographics and record if they visited Wuhan or were coming from Wuhan. And then we had the future outcome of what happened to them. So some of them survived, these are the zeros, and some of them died, and that's the ones.
Got it.
And what we had historically is this very clear-cut fact of what happened. In this case, it was binary outcome, right?
Either they died or they didn't die. So
exactly.
Pretty straightforward.
So we used that to build a model. We deployed the model, and this is how model is used in production. So we have a patient who is a male from China, age 89, and he came from Wuhan. And this data is pushed through the model that we built previously. And what model gives you is the future.
Okay.
And the future, in this case, has a value of this.
Has a value of those, what does that mean? Those 7 digits.
It's the future probability for this patient. In this case, it's a probability of death.
Oh, well, that's pretty high.
So what the model did is it analyzed the historical data, and it remembers that within that profile, similar to this patient, so males from China, old age, and coming from Wuhan, 65% of those patients actually died historically.
Oh, so we're looking at percentages here. Okay, I understand now.
That's the historical stats for those profiles, and this stats lands here as the future probability of dying. And if you look at another patient, it's a female from China, much younger age, and was visiting Wuhan. And in this case, again, the model looks at similar profiles historically and the death rate among them. And in this case, it's that.
Oh, only 12% probability of dying.
Well, still high, but much lower than the other
65%
profiles. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So this is what you are getting from the model in deployment. It's a probability of someone dying. It's a probability of someone being interested in a product, probability of a customer thinking about leaving to the competition, probability of a machine breaking really soon. It's never a clear-cut decision. It's a probability.
So business leaders think that they're going to get different information from their data science, from analytics, is what you're saying?
I think, when they start working with data science, they don't really know what to expect, but I don't think, based on our experience, I don't think they expect a long list of probabilities. So here you see you have many patients, and each of them has this probability calculated. And it's just a lot of numbers here. And it's hard to get your head around that, because you may ask, I would ask, does that help you if you are managing a hospital? Is that helpful?
Well, if I was a policymaker, if I had to decide who gets in, I would find that to be, this doesn't really help me. Like, what am I supposed to do with this information? And isn't it the data scientist's job to help me understand it?
Well, we can help you understand it, but at the end of the day, you need to make some decisions, and we don't have much more for you. So this is hardcore science. We look at the data, we applied machine learning, and now based on historical data, these are the very exact probabilities, and we are very proud that we can deliver them for you. Now, you need to take that and make some decisions. We don't know what these decisions are. We are not running a hospital. We are only analyzing data. These probabilities are a large piece of the puzzle, but they are not everything, and the answer is not here.
So what's going on then?
Well, you see, as I say, there's pieces of information missing, but data scientist's job is done right now. The model is built and deployed, and this is what they are very proud of. They expect that other people will know what to do with that. And there's a number of things you can do with this data. So at the end of the day, you have to make some decision with that. So you may decide, all right, let's just sort the patient by the highest probability, and let's start filling our hospital to the last bed. But then a patient can come with different illness, and there are no beds. Or you may decide, let's just stay away from that and not to admit anybody, and maybe inform the politicians about that, so they can make a decision about closing the border. This is above our pay grade. This is not what we decide how to use that. We can certainly advise, and we can help to understand what's going on, but the decisions are not us.
So ultimately what you're saying is the buck stops with the business leader on what to do with this information, and not the data scientist, correct?
Yes.
Because do we really want data scientists to decide who gets admitted into a hospital and who doesn't? For in this case of this example.
Exactly.
It's not their job.
Would you like this to be data scientist's role?
No. No, I certainly, because it does that. Well, what you clearly illustrated is the fact that that's not their job. That's not what they're hired for. They're hired to basically provide the outputs and go, okay, so here, my job is done now. Does this exist in all industries that use machine learning, Magic? These problems of business leaders not knowing what to do with it?
Well, not in all. So one comes to mind that actually is pretty experienced with dealing with those outputs. It's banks. So they built those risk models, and risk is all about probabilities. And they analyzed those outputs day in, day out. And they have decades of experience, because that this is at the core of their business. And also because there's a regulation that imposes, that forces them to do it. But outside banks, everybody seems to be quite new to that. So this is the challenge. If you are a business leader and you haven't dealt with data science before, these probabilities are the new type of input to your daily decision making. And they haven't been trained in that. There are no good courses about that. Certainly universities don't teach how to deal with that. So they are a bit surprised, and they don't know what to do with that.
Because they see it as math, and that's not their wheelhouse, and that's why they hired the data scientist to do the math.
It may be because of that. It's a lot of numbers all of a sudden, but you have to kind of make your peace with that. Future comes as probabilities. No model would tell you this is exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, so business leaders are expecting that when they start their data science initiatives that they're going to get very clear, solid direction, but that's not actually what's going on. They're getting probabilities. And this is clearly contributing to the low ROI rate for data science initiatives.
You see, in our eyes, in data scientists' eyes, these are very clear outputs. They are based on science, based on historical data. What data scientists don't grasp, that this is absolutely impossible to digest by non-technical people or untrained people.
They expect that business leaders will know how to interpret these probabilities.
Exactly.
So what can business leaders do about this, Maciek?
Well, I think in this case, data science did what it's supposed to do. The model was built and deployed, and now it's giving the probabilities. And it's really on business leaders now to get upskilled with this new reality, because this is what will be coming. Each model will be a new set of probabilities about something. And this is a new kind of input. This is not something they were used to deal with in the past. In the past, they looked at historical facts, stuff that happened pretty much for sure. And now there is this vague probabilities. It may happen, it may not happen. What do we do with that? I think they need to upskill in and become capable of dealing with this new type of inputs in their daily decision making. So that's on them, but data scientists should also lend a helping hand here, because they have the skill set to deliver those missing pieces of the puzzle. They just need to be asked for it, and they need to be provided appropriate data. And I think they are kind of often abdicating the responsibility here about that. They are just so happy that the model is deployed that they don't want to inject themselves into this process of, okay, it's not everything. Not everything is clear. We still need some information here to use this model optimally, because what happens is, if you don't have this additional information, that you are not using those probabilities in an optimal way. Sometimes you may end up completely misusing them, and this immediately hits your ROI analytics. So you manage the successful project, it's deployed, and you are unknowingly misusing what it gives you.
Because as you mentioned at the beginning of this video, what we're talking about is misplaced expectations, that there's a lack of understanding that basically what the business leaders are going to get, and there's a lack of understanding what business leaders expect they're going to get from their data scientists. And data scientists have a misplaced expectation as to the fact that business leaders will be able to actually know what to do with these probabilities.
Yes.
Well, on that note, Maciek, I think this is a good place to end this video. So until the next one,
Take care.